Hello everyone, my name is Dylan and welcome to another modern RP British English listening exercise. So today I'm just going to be speaking to you about some random things at a very natural pace, and I want you to see how much of it you can understand. So where are we then? Well, believe it or not, this isn't actually England. Yeah, I know that's extremely hard to believe. England doesn't look like this in December. We are currently in Brazil, and well, we're actually going on a pretty epic adventure today. So currently we are making our way to the beach. And when we arrive at this beach, you will notice on the right, there is kind of like an island bit with another hidden beach. And we're going to be going there. And well, this was supposed to be a very simple walk, but it turned out to be quite an ordeal. I kept getting lost and we had a few other run-ins with various animals and stuff like that. There's a lot of good footage to show you today, so it's going to be a fun one. Right then, we also have loads of very interesting topics that we're going to discuss today. So we're going to be speaking about Brazil in general. We're going to be speaking about 2025 because today, as I'm recording this, it's currently Wednesday, the 31st of December. In other words, New Year's Eve, so the last day of the year, which of course is the perfect time to speak about 2025. And we're also going to be looking ahead at the new year as well, plus a few other random talking points. Right, let's start with Brazil. Brazil is amazing. I absolutely love this place. I was there for a week and well, we'll start with as you can see from the footage, it's just an incredible place. Like when I went and where I went. So this was Florianopolis in December, which is like the Brazilian summer. The weather is perfect. The sand is white. The skies are blue. The water is crystal clear and it's just stunning. Yeah. Also, if you see in the distance, that pointy thing, that's where we're going to be going today. And yeah, it's not as straightforward as just walking along the beach, I'm afraid, but you'll see. Yeah, the weather is perfect, it's beautiful and hot and sunny, and also it isn't humid. And for some reason, I thought that South America would be a humid continent, but it wasn't at all. It wasn't humid in Argentina, and it wasn't humid in Brazil either. Right then, so what about the people? The people here are lovely. Yeah, that's it really. They're very outgoing and nice and friendly and warm and welcoming, and yeah, various times during, I was only here for a week, you have to bear that in mind. So I mean, you can look at some of the experiences that I've had and argue that a week isn't really enough time to get a full picture of this place. Or you could say that, oh wow, you already had all of those amazing experiences in just a week. Imagine what would happen if you stayed there for a month or a year or 2 years. So you can look at it either way. Yeah, by the way, I looked at my, the reason why we're going along this path is because I was trusting Google Maps to take me to this place, and it's told me to go along here, and I even asked ChatGPT, I sent it some photos, and it said, yeah, go up here. And as I was walking up these stairs, I noticed that it didn't really look very public, it looked private, and also there was this sign here. So I took a photo of that, sent it to GPT, and I was like, shall I go in here? Am I going to get attacked by a dog? And he was like, nah, man, go in. It's all good. Yeah, that's just a sign. It just means there is an aggressive dog nearby. But just be careful and you'll be fine. Yeah, and that wasn't the case. So basically, I believed it because I'm an idiot. And I didn't think that AI was trying to stitch me up. But obviously it was. And I tried to open this gate. It wouldn't open at first. So I just had my head down for about 10 seconds trying to open this bloody thing. And eventually the owner of this place, because it wasn't a public footpath, it was a hotel or like a hostel actually. And the owner eventually came down and was like, what are you doing? In Portuguese. But he was really nice, of course. And I tried to explain in my extremely limited Portuguese that I thought this was the public footpath. Luckily, I was able to show him a photo of the place that I was looking to get to. And then he was like, no, you're in the wrong place, mate. You need to go around here. So that's what happened. Yeah. Anyway, as you can see, we have found another route. This is where I thought the guy was telling me to go. So once again, I was feeling quite optimistic. And once again, you'll see that we are approaching a gate at the moment. And well, this video would be a lot shorter if this was the correct way to go. So where are we? Yeah, Brazilian people, very nice, very friendly. That's a perfect example. I tried to break into someone's house and they were helping me after that. They weren't mad or anything like that. They were extremely helpful and understanding. And also, when I first arrived in the country, I took an Uber to my accommodation, and the Uber driver, he like high-fived me, or like we shook hands at the end of it, which was cool. And then I was trying to work out how to actually enter the building, and randomly a couple came from the other side of the street to help me, and they were speaking in English. And it was just really nice. So within the first like 20 minutes of being in Brazil, I already had 2 people who were so friendly to me. The first two people I met, literally, were so friendly and nice and kind and helpful, and it was just lovely. Right, so I really didn't want to be here. I did not want to spend this day walking alongside a road, getting lost, and you will notice throughout this footage that I actually start getting quite annoyed. Just for some context, I was in Brazil for a week, as mentioned. This was my final full day. The sun was blazing, it was incredibly hot, and I was on holiday. I wasn't really supposed to be working, but here I was filming and working. So yeah, this was me. I tried to go up that road for about 20 minutes because I thought that the map said it would be a 20-minute walk, and then I looked again and it said it would be an hour and 20-minute walk, and I wasn't really keen for all that. So I ended up taking an Uber to where I thought was the right place. This is where I got the Uber to. So this was about 20 minutes after that vain face camera footage. And as you can see, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I'm looking for the start of a trail, like a public footpath, a public hike. And this is a residential area in the middle of nowhere. And it was eerily similar to something that happened to me a couple of years ago where I was in Jeju Island in Korea, and I was looking to find you can see here I'm actually getting annoyed. Like, I'm not someone that gets annoyed easily, but this does annoy me because it was boiling hot. It was the last day of my holiday. I wasn't supposed to be working. My feet were sunburnt, so every step was agony. And here I was just walking around residential Florianopolis, which it just isn't really that nice or relaxing. There was cars everywhere and it was just a bit stressful. Anyway, this is actually a very important part of the story because at this point, I'm going to be honest, I was close to giving up. I'd been walking around for about 2 hours. I was tired. I was like, this is my last day of holiday. I'm supposed to be relaxing on a beach, not doing all this stuff. But something very important happened here. So you'll notice, I paused the footage shortly. So here, this bar place, I'm going to zoom in. Combinado, I think that says. So at this point, I was like, I'm fed up. I'm going in there for a pint. And I might just abandon this whole mission. And I went in there and it turns out that they were shut. Right, so basically one of the Brazilian workers came up to me and said, sorry, we're not open today. You have to come back tomorrow. And I was like, I'm leaving tomorrow, but I'm really trying to find this place here. And I showed them the photo on my phone of the place I was trying to get to. And he was so nice. This guy was so nice. And he was like, yeah, man, that's actually one of my favorite walks to do. And what a beautiful day it is as well to do it, man. You're going to have an awesome time. And I was like, yeah. Where is it, please? He says, well, dude, you're close, man. You just need to go up there, turn right up this hill, and it's right there, man. Keep going. And just in that very moment, I was so close to giving up. I was so close to just admitting defeat and just abandoning this video that I did want to make and abandoning this hike that I did want to do. But this guy was just so nice and friendly. And to be honest, I didn't even want a beer. I didn't even want to be sat inside that bar. I wanted to do this walk. I needed a break. And yeah, this guy basically said to me, go right up this hill. He didn't say how long it would be, but I followed him and I put all of my faith into this guy. And I'm so glad that I did because lo and behold, 10 minutes later, here we are. So this is what I was looking for. And the first thing I noticed is look at that. Yes, the United Kingdom, the Great British flag, as opposed to the United States flag for the English translation. I appreciate that one, Brazil. I really do. Right then, so this is where we're supposed to be going. And I was so relieved and happy at this point because it was hot. I think I've mentioned that. And I was hungry and thirsty. I did have supplies. I brought a packed lunch with me and you can see me just traipsing up this hill. And here we are. This was sort of the first point in the walk where I was like, oh wow, we made it. We're doing something here. I don't feel like an idiot for getting lost on my final day. And yeah, one of those days, you can only laugh at that really. I redid it. I got the nice footage. And at this point, I was just like, let's get this over with. But I was really happy because I was like, oh, finally, we're on the right track. All thanks to that lovely Brazilian man. So if you ever do go to that bar, I've already forgotten the name, but if you ever do go there, please look for a nice man with blue eyes, I think, and long hair, and give him a big high five for me. Right, so this is where we're going, and you'll notice, I kept slipping over. I was traipsing. It wasn't even a particularly demanding hike. I was just tired. It had been a long week of drinking beer on the beach, so I was tired. I wasn't really used to physical activity, and I was traipsing. That led to me falling over and slipping over a lot, but we're on the right way. Oh, God, I had so many topics that I wanted to speak about, but I need to commentate on this footage. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to get through this footage, then I'll speak about everything that I wanted to speak about, and I'll find some other random footage to play in the background, maybe some other footage of Brazil or Argentina or something like that. Right, so here we are. This is about 3 hours into the journey. I was extremely happy. At this point, I was just walking along and filming. And I think I can talk about some random things. I don't need to commentate just yet. So yeah, Brazilians are lovely. The women, of course, are extremely beautiful. That's like a bit of a stereotype, but it's absolutely true. And I have to say as well, I'm straight, but I need to say, we need to pause the footage again. Right, so you'll notice this sign. The reason I stopped here is because there were stickers on this sign, and I stopped here because I wanted to put on one of the Henry the dog stickers, but I wasn't able to. So we're actually going to go back to this footage, and we're going to put a Henry the dog sticker on. Boom, there we are. Okay, we can move on now. Yeah, right, so the women here are of course, very beautiful, and I couldn't help but notice that Brazilian guys are also really, really handsome. Yeah. So as mentioned, I'm straight, but I can certainly appreciate beauty. And wow, yeah, if you are a single woman interested in that type of thing, or a guy interested in that type of thing, I would highly recommend visiting Brazil. Wow. Anyway, what else is there? The food here is lovely, of course, and well, it was just lovely. The whole experience was amazing. It felt extremely heavenly. I made a video on this about a week ago, not as detailed as this one, but I was talking about how this place was just heavenly, and I was trying to describe Florianopolis for a week, and I just kept coming back to this adjective heavenly because that's how it felt. It was just amazing. We're finally at the beach, by the way. This was such a good feeling. So I will be the first to admit that this week I had in Brazil doesn't depict the entire country, I'm sure. Brazil is a huge country. So I'm certainly wearing rose-tinted glasses here. And that's basically when you look at something with an overly positive view because of the experience that you had there or the circumstance of your trip. So just imagine this. I'm on holiday in this place for a week and it's so lovely and the weather is perfect and I'm in a good mood because of this. And it's hard not to look at this and think this is the best place in the world. But if I went to another part of Brazil, or if I was there for a bit longer, or if the weather wasn't perfect, maybe my viewpoint would be a bit different. So I'm biased in a good way. So that's just an important caveat. Right, so nowhere's perfect though. Are there any negatives to this place? Firstly, Portuguese is a very hard language to learn. I was hoping it would be a bit more similar to Spanish. I know this isn't really like a negative because it's their language, right? And this is just something that you have to learn if you go to another country. Although they all speak English, but I'm trying to make more of an effort to learn the local language when I go to another country because I don't want to be that, ignorant tourist. And it's a really hard one. I thought it would be very similar to Spanish. It turns out it's only quite similar to Spanish. So some of the words are very similar, but I'd say there's about a 50% chance that the word is not similar whatsoever. And I found the pronunciation quite hard. To me, hearing Portuguese sounded a bit Japanese for some reason. I made some friends there and they were speaking Portuguese to each other and I actually thought they were speaking Japanese. Right. Just for a bit of reference, we've arrived at this beach after this long, arduous trek and I wanted to get some cool footage with my tripod. So I'm at the entrance to the beach. It's full of people. This is me trying to get some footage and then I step forward for a second and heavily regret that decision because it's about here that I'd fall on my ass in front of everyone. Yeah, that one bit of rock was wet and extremely slippy. So yeah, that's one way to announce yourself in a new area. Just walk down with your tripod and fall over in front of everyone. Anyway, this was me about 10 minutes later. At this point, I was just knackered. I sat here for about an hour, just eating my packed lunch and just thinking about life and the journey I'd just gone on. And yeah, it was good. My packed lunch, if you're wondering, I had an apple. That's the healthiest thing on there to drink. I had some water and some banana. It wasn't a milkshake. It was like a banana oat drink or something. I had a sandwich and just a pack of prosciutto ham. Is that what it's called? Prosciutto ham? Just something like that. And a Twix bar. Bit of a random one, but it did the job nicely. Right, so we're currently at the other side of this beach place because I wanted to get some more footage. It was so beautiful and we'd worked so hard just to get to this point. That is just incredible, right? That's amazing. Stunning. So it felt like a bit of a shame just to stop recording when we arrived at the beach. And I'm glad that I didn't stop because we actually ended up getting some pretty remarkable footage after this. Something crazy happened. Something crazy does happen in about a minute. God, we're not really making our way through these topics though. Right then, so what I was saying before, I love Brazil. I'd highly recommend it. And I very much like Brazilian people as well. or bazookas, as I think they also go by. I don't know if that's rude. I don't think it's rude, but if it is, then don't blame me. Don't blame me. The Argentinians taught it to me, okay? It's not my fault, Mum. Don't blame me, please. I don't think it is rude because I playfully tested out in front of a few Brazilian people. I called them bazookas and there wasn't any bad reaction. And also, when I went to the airport, there was like this hot dog stand place and they had different names for all of the different types of hot dogs. There was one called the American hot dog. Then there was the Italian hot dog and the Paris hot dog. And then one of them was called bazooka hot dog. And this was in Sao Paulo, so I feel like if it was a rude term, they probably wouldn't have included it there. So yeah, bazookas are the best. I hope that's not rude. And if it is, then blame the Argentinians, right? They taught it to me. Sorry, I'm not trying to cause any beef between those two countries. And just as a side note, before we get to the other stuff, my experience of South America, I was in Argentina for quite a while and Brazil for this week. It's amazing. I know that it's a huge continent and there is so much more to explore. But I love it. And that's someone who doesn't even speak Spanish. I learned a tiny bit. And if I was spending more time there, I would, of course, like to learn more of the language. I think it's such a shame that Brazilians don't speak Spanish. I mean, the national language of Brazil isn't Spanish because that would just make everything so much easier, wouldn't it? But no, they have to speak Portuguese. Okay. So I kind of need to learn both of those languages then. Brilliant. Yeah, and that's it for the South America talk because I'm back in England now. And as mentioned, it's the last day of 2025. It's New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. So there are so many other things that I'd like to talk about. But I feel as if, so the original footage that I was going to use for this video is 20 minutes long. And there is no way that we're going to be done in that time. So we're just going to finish commentating on this footage here, and then I will find some random footage for me to put on the screen, and then we can talk about all of the other topics. Yeah. So I was just walking along this path, and just look what happens. It was the craziest thing, because in my mind, I was thinking, wouldn't it be crazy if I saw something like a bear? If a bear just popped out and I got it all on camera, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, a horse. A horse. I couldn't believe it. And I was a bit scared. And listen, I know horses are our friends, and when I posted this footage on Instagram, so many people were like, why are you scared? Why were you running away? I wasn't running away, okay? I was walking away at a fast speed because it was a thin path, and this was a huge horse. It was a lovely horse, by the way. I didn't really show it enough respect. I was nice to it. I didn't really say anything mean to it, but I was a bit scared of it. But it was actually a really beautiful horse. It was a lovely animal, and I'm going to give it a bit of screen time now because it does deserve that. It was a beautiful creature, a really nice horse. I just wasn't really expecting a wild horse to appear, so I was a bit startled by that. I've had some negative experiences with wild animals in the past, but let's all admire this horse's beauty. We'll call him Juan. Juan, yeah, I like that. Right then, so I kind of realized after that encounter that the footage isn't really going to get much more exciting than that. So this was the walk back, and we're going to end up in a very familiar spot. And then I will crack into some of the other topics. So yeah, I was feeling really happy at this point. I'm extremely glad that I didn't give up on my dreams of doing this hike because I was so close. And if it wasn't for that lovely Brazilian barman, I wouldn't have done this. I would have gone home because it's one of those places where even if you Google the entrance, it's still impossible to find. Yeah, so my advice, if you do this hike and if you want to go to that beach, plan the route before. Actually, just take an Uber to that cafe bar place that I showed you and just have a drink in there if they're open and ask the guy there where to go because you're actually really close to it. I was so close. The irony was I was so close to it and I was so close to giving up. So this is it. This is where it all started. So let's take one final look at that before we crack into some other topics. Beautiful. Right then, this is the last day of 2025, and I do fully appreciate that it would be a bit boring of me just to talk about my own personal experience of this year. And that isn't me being self-deprecating and thinking, oh, no one loves me, no one cares about me. But I just don't think it's that interesting for you to hear about someone else's year. But with that said, I will give you a quick overview, and then we'll speak about 2026, and it will get a bit more relevant and interesting. Right, so for me, this year was just dominated by the creation of my 5-in-1 online course. This was this huge project. It contained 5 modules, over 210 lessons, and I spent pretty much the whole year working on this. It's launched now, by the way, it's amazing, and the link is in the top comment. So yeah, that was just exhausting. I did do a bit of traveling as well to Taiwan, Canada, Argentina, and Brazil, of course. Not much to report there. I thoroughly enjoyed each country that I visited, and I have spoken about them before in previous videos, but for the majority of this year, I was sat in my bedroom on this wooden TV stand using a hollowed out chest of drawers as a desk, and I was just making my course. And this was in Northern England, by the way, and Northern England can be a bit bleak, can be a bit grey and cold. It was in Northern England, but I am from the south, just to let you know. And the reason why I feel the need to mention that is because I received a comment earlier this year, and it was on a video. So I think I've had 2 videos on my channel that have kind of blown up and that have surpassed 1 million views over a short period of time. And when that happens, you get a huge number of comments. There's just a constant influx of new comments. So every time that you refresh the page, new comment, refresh the page, new comment, new comment, new comment. And that, of course, leads to a lot of new people, and therefore you're going to get a lot more negative comments as well, which is fine. It's part of the deal of working online, is that you're going to get negative comments, and most of them are fine. There was just one that really stood out above all of the others, and it relates to this whole Northern English thing. So just for a bit of context, I am from the southwest of England, which is why I sound like this, but I moved to the north of England and lived there for about 5 years, which is a very unusual thing for a southerner to do. And because of that, it meant that my pronunciation changed a little bit. Not a huge amount, but some words I would say the northern way by accident. It would sort of just slip out. So instead of saying plaster, which is the southern way, I would say plaster, which is the northern way. And that's relevant to this whole story. So basically, I posted a video in April, and it was one of the videos that kind of blew up. It was me doing a quiz about the UK. And for one of the answers, I said, so yeah, we call this thing a plaster. And a plaster is basically something that you use to cover cuts or wounds. So I used the southern pronunciation for the first part of the answer and the northern pronunciation for the second part. Obviously, that's a mistake, and I need to improve my consistency. And that's something that I have been working on over the last few months. But that led to one of the most infuriating comments I've ever received. And it was from some woman, and it said something along the lines of, the fact that you said plaster and then plaster in the same answer tells me that you are a northerner who is pretending to be southern. That is truly abhorrent. And it just annoyed me so much. Not because she was accusing me of being a northerner. I'm not pretentious like that. As mentioned, I lived there for 5 years. I've got nothing against northerners at all. It was just the way that she so matter-of-factly just accused me of misleading my audience and purposely trying to change my entire personality as if I was ashamed of where I came from. And it just really, really annoyed me. And that's actually what led to me working on improving my accent and the consistency of my accent. Anyway, that's a complete tangent, but here we are. So let's wrap up 2025 like that. It was a good year. We're at 2026. So before we get into this, I just want to say I truly hope that everyone here has just an absolutely incredible new year. I hope everyone has an amazing 2026. I hope you absolutely own it. No matter what it is you're trying to achieve, I hope you just smash it. And I hope you look back on it at the end of the year and think, this has been an incredible year for me. I'm so grateful for it. So firstly, let's get it. Come on, we got this. Okay. And secondly, let's start with let's talk about the New Year's resolutions. So I know these can be quite unpopular. People poo-poo them, and I think that's British. If you poo-poo something, it means that you criticize it, you belittle it. I guess that's the more formal version of poo-pooing something. But I personally like these. I think there are a few important caveats to New Year's resolutions. Firstly, you can't have too many of them, because the more you have, the less likely it is that you're going to do any of them, and they have to be specific. So you can't be like, my New Year's resolutions are, I want to be happier, I want to be healthier, I want to be richer, I want to be cooler, I want to smell better, because these are so vague and there are far too many of them. So within the first few days of January, you might take actions to achieve these. You might have an apple for breakfast and drink lots of water and buy some new perfume and try and start a new business and gratitude journal to try and achieve all of these things. But it's just far too much to actually keep up with and to be consistent with. So you're never actually going to meet any of these goals. And then that's why people say, oh, New Year's resolutions, they're so stupid. Everyone just gives up in January. Blah, blah, blah. No, I think they're brilliant, actually. You just need to pick one, at the very most two, and they need to be specific. So for me personally, they're very specific. Firstly, I want to improve my posture. Your posture is basically how straight your back is when you are sitting or standing. Mine isn't particularly awful. I just think it could be better. And secondly, I want to default to the fun option. So what does that mean? Well, I think everyone has two sides to their personality. They have like the normal version, which is just, your normal standard answer to something. And they have the fun option, which would be your fun answer to things. And I would like to, especially when meeting new people, default to the fun side of my personality a bit more. And this is something that I truly admire and like about South Americans. They're all really fun. They're funny. And I think more often than not, they default to the fun option. So let's say you ask them a random question. They probably wouldn't give you a boring answer. They'd probably give you quite a funny, playful, jokey answer. And that's something that I really admire. And it's something that I want to start to incorporate as well. And I don't mean that I'm going to start being really silly and just try and be goofy and fun. Like, I'm not going to start my videos like, hibbity hey guys, it's diggity dee 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 Dylan. Welcome to another video. Whoop whoop whoop. I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. But I mean, I'll give you an example, right? So I went to this language exchange thing and it was in Brazil, and someone asked me what my dreams are or something like that. And I said, man, just sort of kind of just keep working on my business and travel and stuff like that. What about you? Then he said something like, I really want a hot tub overlooking the sea and I want a butler and stuff like that. And it was kind of a jokey answer. And it was only then that I realized, like, wow, what a boring answer I just gave. That sucks, especially when you're meeting someone new. That's so lame. And I waited for him to finish and I said, okay, let me redo my answer because that was so boring. Okay, so my dreams are, well, basically I want a Brazilian wife. Actually, you know what? I want 5 Brazilian wives. And I want a new pair of socks because the ones that I'm wearing right now actually have a hole in them. But I think my sister is going to get me some socks for Christmas. So that should cover that one. And you know what? I'll take that hot tub that you were talking about as well. So 5 wives and the hot tub and a pair of socks. And, it's just like a jokey answer. I just want to be able to default to a more humorous side of myself because life is a joke. It's short and bad stuff happens all the time. So why not just default to the fun option? Don't force it, but just smile more and laugh. And this is not me like preaching to you. This is kind of like speaking to myself. Yeah. And as mentioned, I think that's something that South Americans are very good at naturally. Also, content-wise, I'm going to change that a lot as well. So it's going to be a lot more community and podcasty focused going forward with my channel. So some of you may have noticed, and this video is of course a good example, the style of my videos lately have changed quite a lot over the last few months, and I think I've been a bit more open with you about everything, more sort of genuine or authentic. I don't really like using those words because that implies that I was being ungenuine or inauthentic before, which really was not the case. It was just, I'd say before I was showing about 70% of my personality because I wanted to be professional. I wanted to be seen as a proper teacher, of course, because I was teaching English and I still am. So, for example, previously I wouldn't have spoken about the amount of beer I've consumed lately. But in my last 2 videos, I openly said, yeah, I went to Brazil and I drank loads of beer on the beach, or it was Christmas and I went to the pub yesterday and had like 6 pints. I wouldn't have done that before, even though it's true, because I wanted to be seen as more professional. And I wasn't doing this to try and mislead anyone. It was just, this was the mindset I had. But lately, I've just been making a conscious effort to be 100% genuine. Like, I probably wouldn't have told you that story about the language exchange and me making a joke about wanting 5 Brazilian wives, because even though it's so obviously a joke, I might think, oh, that might offend someone. Why would it offend someone? It's clearly a joke. I just realized the other day, I'm here for the long run, hopefully, and there are just so many teachers on here, British English teachers, who just give these lessons and they show a bit of their personality and they smile and they give the lesson and they tell you what they think you want to hear. Just playing it all very safe, which I just think can be a tad bland at times. And I was, of course, one of these, and there's nothing wrong with that. It depends what type of YouTuber or what type of content creator you want to be. If you're strictly here to teach English, then you need to be professional, because you wouldn't see a school teacher talk to you about how much beer they drank over Christmas, or how sunburnt their feet got when they went on holiday to Brazil. They have a barrier between their personal life and their professional life. I'm trying to reduce that barrier a bit, because this sounds very cringe and generic, but I kind of want to be seen as for you, I'd like to go from more of a strict formal teacher to sort of like a friend. That sounds so generic and cringe, doesn't it? And yeah. But not a friend, okay, I want this to feel like more of a language exchange where you can turn up and it'll be very fun and casual and you'll get to practice your English instead of a sit-down classroom setting where you're not allowed to have any fun, you're just here to learn, because that isn't my personality. That never really was the intention of my channel. So I think this is just a more fitting and prosperous direction. And I think it's going to benefit everyone. If you are someone who doesn't want me to speak about, if you don't want to hear about my sunburnt feet and you're strictly here to learn, then you will move on. You're not going to keep watching and you'll be able to find another teacher who does give you that, who just gives you straight up education. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But I think most people want to be able to connect with a content creator who is actually being human. And if you're not careful, after a while, you kind of lose that personality. If you're constantly looking out for what you say and constantly trying to be professional, after a while, you're not really relatable. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to make this change is because I made this course. This isn't an advert, but I can't really express how much I put into this course, how much time and effort. It was all of this year. I know I mentioned that I was traveling, I was in these different countries, but I was working. Predominantly, I was working in these countries for most of the time, and I don't want to keep banging on about it. This will be brief, but as mentioned, it was just so exhausting. I put everything into this, the scripting, the filming, the refilming, looking at mistakes and thinking, oh great, we've got to redo that whole bloody video, even though I spent all day yesterday doing it. And just that, 210 lessons, over 210 lessons, that is intense to say the least, and it is just amazing. I'm so proud of it. I genuinely think it's the best online course in the entire industry, but I think I felt slightly teachered out after that, and I think that's one of the reasons why the channel has become a bit more chill and podcasty, but still educational, of course. Anyway, another thing is I want to focus more on the community, which I know that sounds extremely generic. When people say, oh, I want to be more community focused, it's like, okay, great. What does that actually mean though? By the community, I mean specifically when I post a video, the 5,000 people who consistently watch it, the 500 people who like it, the 30 people who comment, the 4,000 people who open my newsletters every week, those people, you are part of the community. I'm just using specific numbers because it helps to paint a clearer picture of what I mean. So yeah, I just want to build on that because we have such a nice community here. It's all so positive. In the comments, it's lovely. The messages I received, they're all so pleasant. And I want to bring everyone together so that we can all meet each other, all online, of course, and practice English with each other. And I want everyone to feel like they're part of the British education family. I know that sounds generic, but it's just the best way of putting it. So I had this realization fairly recently, maybe about 2 months ago. So I've got quite a lot of subscribers. I'm not bragging. I'm just, like if you see my videos, I'm not someone that like shows off or flexes or anything like that. It's just a fact. Like I've got a fair number of subscribers, but with that number of subscribers, you would typically expect a higher view count. So I've got about 400,000 subscribers, but the videos tend to get between 5 to 10,000 views, which is a lot, but for a channel of that size, you would expect a much higher view count. And just to be completely honest with you, because that's another thing I want to be doing, and that ties in with what I was saying earlier about being more open and more genuine. I used to get a bit almost discouraged by the fact that I had so many subscribers, but I felt as if for a channel of that size, the view count should be higher. So let's say, for example, I posted a video and it got 5,000 views. I would think, oh wow, it should be so much more than that. This channel has this number of subscribers and they get this number of views. Why isn't mine like that? And it used to never annoy me because I've always been extremely grateful for it, but I used to get discouraged by it. And then I realized the other day, I actually just turned off this whole stupid content creator analytical mindset. And I actually just thought 5,000 people are watching my videos. That is incredible. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for that. And that's another reason why I want to be 100% genuine and authentic with you, because you're committing time out of your busy lives every single week to consume my content. So the least I can do is be myself. Not that I wasn't before, but I want to really be myself, because that means that leads to a healthy community. And it leads to an authentic community that will last in the long run. Sorry, it's quite hard to explain all of that. And I don't want it to sound like, oh, I've got loads of subscribers, but I'm ungrateful because I didn't get enough views. It's not that at all. If you know me and my personality, you know it's not like that at all. It's just that I've stopped seeing the view count as just a number on the screen, and now I see it as the actual number of people who are taking time out of their lives to watch the videos. And I am more grateful than ever for the lovely community that we've built, and continuing to build on that is going to be one of the main focuses for the new year, alongside improving my posture, of course, and being more fun, of course. But in terms of the content and the work that I do, I want to really build out this community. And another reason why is because it's I feel like the world has become a lot lonelier recently. And this is something I can definitely relate to. I've been self-employed for about 7 years now, and I'm 27, by the way. I turned 28 in March, so, I'm getting on a bit now, but I'm 27. So for all of my 20s, I've been self-employed, and that's extremely lonely in a way, because it means that you are constantly by yourself. And when you're self-employed, especially at the start, you have to work all the time. So I'd say for the majority of the last 7 years, I've certainly been by myself and probably just working in a bedroom somewhere. It's only very recently, it's only last year, that I was actually able to start traveling a bit and get out there and meet people. But for the majority of this last decade, I've been by myself. So this isn't a cry for help. It's just that I know what it's like to constantly be by yourself, and I know what loneliness feels like. And there's a pandemic at the moment. There are so many lonely people out there. And I think this problem is only going to become worse. And I'm sure out of all the people watching this, a large percentage of you, I hope this isn't the case, but I'm just positive that a large percentage of you will have experienced this feeling of being lonely. So it would be my honor for myself, and also for you as well, to be able to build a community, somewhere where we can all hang out together and learn together, and for it to feel extremely genuine and authentic, and everyone can be themselves and everyone can learn English, and we can all just have a good time together as if we were actually just all friends hanging out. I know that sounds so generic and so cringe and almost a bit inauthentic in itself. I do understand the irony, but that genuinely is just the best way of describing it. Kind of like a slightly more structured language exchange. So that's something I am going to be building in the next few months. And I'm going to put a link in the top comment. So if you would be interested in a small private online community / group led by myself, where you can hang out with other learners in the community and also have calls with me and stuff like that, we can all learn together, I'm going to put a link in the top comment, and you can click that, and there will be a button there that says I'm interested. And if you press that, once I have some more details, I'll email you later on. You're not signing up to anything. It just shows me who's interested. And then when this comes into fruition, I'll be able to send you some more details then. But of course, you don't have to do that. The videos are going to become more community focused, more personality focused in general. It's going to be more like we're all hanging out as a language exchange instead of a more formal classroom approach. This will just be for the people who want something a bit more personal and interactive. Well then, I did not expect this ramble to be so long. I've actually got quite a lot of energy today, so I'm grateful for that. It's currently sunny in the UK, and there's something about the UK when the UK weather isn't ideal, and it's normally a topic of ridicule, right? But what I will say is that the UK air is so clean and crisp in a way that I've never experienced in any other country, especially in winter. So right now, it's the end of December. It's very cold outside, but it's also sunny. And when you go outside, it is so nice because you have this extremely cool, crisp, clean air mixed with this lazy sun that isn't harsh in any way, but it just looks stunning. And all of the grass and all of the trees have this thin layer of frost on them. And it just looks so aesthetic, and it feels extremely comforting for me as someone who's from England. And it's something that I would love all of you to experience. So I know going to England in winter sounds like a mental idea, but if you get the chance, I would recommend that. Anyway, that's put me in a good mood. It's given me a lot of energy to record this one. Right, so we're going to wrap things up here. I wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all of the support this year. I am so unbelievably grateful for that. And as mentioned, I hope that each and every person listening to this, I hope that you absolutely smash 2026. I hope that you have the best year. I really, really do. And I can't wait it's going to be a good one. I have a good feeling about it. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you'd like some more from me, I will tell you how you can get that. Firstly, I send a newsletter every Tuesday. It's completely free. The link will be in the top comment. I have an Instagram account. That is British Education. Once again, I'll put the link in the top comment. I have a Spotify account where I post all of my YouTube videos, and I am also going to be posting some more Spotify exclusive podcasts there as well. Guess where the link is? Yes, the link is in the top comment, and that is also just British Education. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel and like the video, maybe even comment down below with your New Year's resolutions. That would be fun. And finally, I do have this 5-in-1 online course as well that I'd highly recommend. It's quite expensive, just to be completely honest with you, but that's because it's just the quality and the quantity is ridiculously high and unique. It's a special program. All of the information is in the top comment, including the official trailer. Right then, if you would like some more content from me for free right now, then you will notice there is a box appearing on the screen, and if you click that, you will see a playlist of all of these walk and talk style videos. So I've done some in Argentina, quite a few in Argentina actually. I've done one in England and in Brazil as well. And I will keep adding to this playlist. So definitely check that out if you are new here, because some of the footage is really beautiful, actually very aesthetic. Okay, I'll leave you there. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have an amazing new year. I hope you had a lovely Christmas if you celebrate that. And I'll see you again next Friday for another video. Cheers. Mwah.